Welcome to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Please subscribe, like, comment, enjoy this journey, and enjoy this ride. Welcome to this week's episode. Let's go. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It. A podcast is a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the over 7,000 subscribers that I've had so far. Thank you for the subscribing to this podcast. Thank you for the likes, comments, and shares. The more you like, the more you comment, the more you share, the bigger this podcast can get. I can bring great guests on, bigger topics. Thank you so much again. Today's episode is about anxiety. I bring a friend of mine on here. We've had many conversations about different stuff, different stories, but she has a little twist about anxiety issues. A lot of people have anxiety issues. So I would like to introduce my BSN, my Nan, my Nanette 70, which her last name does not match how we're spelled. Nan, what's going on?
You hear me?
Nothing. That's how it
Nothing.
is.
Just got off work. How
Just
about that?
got just got off work.
Mm-hmm.
How was work today?
Tough.
Yeah,
Stressful.
well, my job is bullshit. It's always tough for me, so you know how that is.
Right.
Nah, listen, like I said before, you and I have had many conversations, but we didn't deep dive into your anxiety issues. That's a big thing in this country. I'm going to read the definition of anxiety because some people know, some people don't know, but we go do. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, of worriness, nervousness, and unease, typically about a tragic event that happened in their life, something with or unconcerned outcome. So, that meaning right there. Let's start off with your first incident of anxiety, which actually triggered you to go with anxiety. I think it was you had a little incident in your car.
Yeah, I had a car accident. I passed out at the wheel. I had just had a biopsy um, for cervical cancer. And the funny thing is I would have been home had I not sat in my car after the appointment. I would have made it home because I was like a mile and a half down the road from my house. So I
Really?
sat in my car and text my boss letting her know how everything went because they had texted me while I was in the appointment. And I got a half mile from the house and I could feel, I get these signs when I'm going to pass out where everything sounds like it's in a bubble.
Okay.
And then I start getting really hot. So I had flipped the air conditioning to point at me and I didn't get to it fast enough. And I was already coming to a stop at a red light because I knew it was coming on. So I was trying to get stopped and I passed out at the light and turned the corner, hit a car. And I remember looking at the lady, wasn't coherent, but I was looking at the lady as I was like, my car was hitting the side of her car and running down the side of her car. Don't remember anything after that until I somehow turned up into a parking lot right there around the corner and I was going sideways in their parking spots and I came to and I hit my brakes and stopped myself from hitting more
Whoa. Now that part I never knew about that. You never broke that down like that before.
cars. No, I don't tell a lot of people. It's something that I have kind of put out of my mind because I still drive past that spot where it happened And I still get a little anxious when I, you know, get to that spot in the road, especially if I have to come to a stop at that light again.
Now wait a minute.
So,
Let me ask you something here, right? So when it happened, like after it happened, like what was your feeling like? When it was over with.
I mean, I felt normal. That's the funny thing is I didn't have any. So what had happened, what caused me to pass out is from the biopsy spot, I got like this when the lidocaine wore off, I got this shooting pain up my body
Yeah.
because the lidocaine had wore off. And I got that shooting pain up my body and then it happened again. And that's when I knew I was going to pass out because I got that bubble feeling like the radio sounded like it was a million miles away. So I knew I was going to pass out. That's what happens anytime I'm going to pass out. So that's why I was trying to get to a stop. But after it happened, like my first reaction was, to call my parents because they happened to be at my house and
Uh,
a half mile up the road. So
got it.
my instant reaction was, is the lady okay? But I couldn't find her. She had ended up turning the corner and coming in the other entrance to the parking lot. And she came over to make sure I was okay.
Okay.
And then, I had her call the police because I just wasn't, it was almost like I was there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I felt fine. I wasn't like nervous or anything at that point. I was just kind of going through the motions. Like, I need somebody here to speak for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I called my parents because I knew they were a half mile up the road.
So after this
Yeah.
happened, how was it the first time, like you even looked at a car, even want to get into a car? What was that
I let,
feeling like?
so my car was in the shop for less than a week.
Okay.
Had no problem getting back in a car.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Mhm.
Drove to work. It hit me probably, I want to say it was like 8 weeks later.
Really?
I went to go, and I was driving to the office. This was during COVID. I was driving to the office every day because I was the closest one to the office. So
Mhm.
I was going in and working. And about 8 weeks later, I want to say, um, I got in my car like I normally do. Got, I don't know, a mile and a half up the road. I only work 3 miles from the house.
Yeah.
I had to pull over in a parking lot and call my sister and tell her to come get me. I couldn't drive. I felt that feeling of my heart started racing. I felt that feeling like I was going to pass out again, but it wasn't to the normal, it wasn't like the full normal effects that I get from passing out with the bubble feeling. I got the ringing ears. I got the hot feeling. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what panic attacks were. Never had them my entire life. And when this happened, I was like, I instantly stopped because I was like, I'm not getting in another car accident again.
Wow.
And so I pulled over immediately. At that point, nobody was on the roads. It's
Okay.
still during heavy COVID. A lot of people are working from home. So my drive to work was less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I called her and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm sitting in this parking lot. I need you to come get me. I'm like, I can't drive any further. I don't know what's going on. I'm panicking. And she came up and got me with her boyfriend. We went back to the house. I texted my boss and said, I can't come into work today. I'm working, but I'm working from home.
So this happened. So it took 2 months for this to kick in.
Yep.
So the 2 prior months, you had no issues. Like you got in the car, you was up and down the road, went to the store, went to your parents, did all this stuff.
hmm
What makes you think like if you can try and like Scooby Doo this shit? How
Yep.
come after 2 months you get in your car during the COVID era and all of a sudden it hits?
I had a lot going on. I was looking for a house to move. I was had to go see an oncologist because I got the biopsy results back.
Yeah.
Um, I I just had a lot going on in my head, and then after going and seeing my general doctor about what was happening, um, she diagnosed me with PTSD. Which to me, in my mind, I don't have PTSD because you think PTSD as in something, usually with military and stuff like that. I think that's just something a lot of people think if they don't
Mm.
know anything about it. So that's where my mindset was. And I was like, you're crazy. I don't have PTSD from what? A car accident?
Yeah.
And they had to explain it to me. And then until watching your podcasts and hearing the stories, I finally grasped that, yeah, I do have PTSD. It isn't just in my mindset for somebody that's been in the military and seen all these traumatic things and, done things. And that's when it hit me after watching your podcast that I really do have PTSD.
Well, now you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. These are some anxiety common causes. Okay, tell me what you think. Stress that can result from work, school, a person, or relationships. That's one. Emotional trauma. Okay, financial concerns. Stress caused by a chronic or stress medical condition. Your cervical cancer, right?
Hmm.
A major event or performance, okay? Like your car accident. Side effects, side effects of certain medications. Alcohol consumption, which you don't really drink, so I know that. Drugs such as cocaine. Lack of oxygen. If any of these I have said, can you relate to any of them?
The one with the traumatic event, well, and the stress, again, the stress of having to go to, an oncologist for the first time,
Yeah.
the stress of having to hurry up and, look for a house and, constantly running and still doing my job and going to these doctor's appointments. And it was a lot in a short period of time.
Okay.
So,
So, okay,
yeah, I
so,
was stressed to the max.
so this has been what, 4 years now?
Mm,
Like COVID area?
yeah,
Okay.
it's been, yeah.
So you're driving now. How is it driving for you now? Do you have episodes? Do you have like, anxiety attacks or like something like that while you're driving now?
So now, no.
Okay.
Um, a year ago, yes. I didn't drive long distances. I just recently did the drive to my parents. Never drove over maximum less than an hour.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, it it's I have these triggers, so like stopping at a light. Um, for some reason at night and early in the morning, especially in the wintertime when you're usually going to work in the dark and coming home in the dark, the brake lights of vehicles, um, neon signs or flashing signs on the side of the road if I'm
Really?
driving. Those I had to learn because I did go see a counselor and I talked to our counselor 3 days a week to try and figure out how to get past this. Started medications. Um, I can say I'm successfully on no medication at all.
Good.
Um, and I do not have those triggers when driving anymore. I had to learn how to, when I would have a trigger in the car, I would learn to focus on something else. So when I would come to a stop at a light, instead of focusing 100% on the light, I would focus on a sign and I would read a sign, like one of the street signs. I would just sit there and read the sign over and over and over again.
Wow.
For the longest time, I had to have somebody on the phone with me when I drove. Didn't matter if I was driving 5 minutes up the road or 30 minutes up the road. I had to have somebody on the phone with me. So it was just a distraction technique.
Mm.
Um, and now I don't have to have somebody on the phone. So,
Ne- So 4 years of this. Now you don't need anybody on the phone with you anymore. You can make long distance drives. You can probably drive to fucking Alaska if you want to.
I don't know about that.
Okay. All right. Well, baby steps. All right. So during this time, something else happened to you to add to your anxiety. You want to talk about that?
Are we talking the heart issue?
Yes.
Because to be honest, if I wouldn't have had the panic attacks, I wouldn't know I have a heart issue where my heart rate is too fast. My heart beats too many times per minute.
Mm.
So I'm constantly, like, my heart feels like it's beating out of my chest. I never knew that until I was having a panic attack and I went to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. And they had told me that, so like 7 years prior, I had went into the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. Seen the head of cardiology at this hospital, said I didn't have a heart attack. Thank God I had the panic attack because he found out and pulled my records from 7 years prior that yes, I did have a heart attack.
Wow.
So, blessing in disguise, you know, now my heart is under control, low dose of heart medicines to slow down my heart rate. And so, yeah, that it all was like a snowball effect, if you want to say. But I guess I'm thankful that it did happen because I wouldn't know about my heart.
Exactly. Now,
So,
do you have trouble relaxing?
absolutely.
How so?
My mind's always going. There's always something going on in this brain, whether it's work related, I'm worried about something or someone. Yeah, my brain is hard to shut off.
Does that stress you
So,
out?
sometimes, but I'm learning
Okay.
thanks to some wise words. I have to learn how to shut it off and be alone with myself. So,
Anxiety, do you become with this anxiety issue sometimes like annoyed or irritable?
yeah, I get annoyed with people, things happening around me. Um, you just got to learn how to not snap
Mm.
or, I can get a slick tongue sometimes with
Okay.
somebody that irritates me.
Because they
Um,
say, because I found out that getting annoyed and irritable is another major sign of going through anxiety. You don't even know. That's the sign.
Absolutely. Thinking back to when it was bad, everything bothered me. You could have said, we're looking at a piece of paper that was red, and you could be right, but I would find some reason to get annoyed with what you were saying. It was almost like I did it without even realizing it. So now thinking back, yes, I got annoyed with a lot of people, things that were happening around me that really, they didn't do anything wrong. It was just, I was in that heightened state of always being jittery, always being on edge,
Yeah. So,
and I didn't realize it until I'm now feeling 1,000% better.
okay.
I didn't like being on medication, hated it, went through probably four different kinds of medication until we found something that didn't knock me on my ass,
Yeah.
right? And I sleep all day or walking around feeling like I'm a zombie, because I just didn't care. You
Yeah.
know, when they put you on a high dose of some type of narcotic, that it just zones you out to everything that happens.
You
And
think
I
that's like a
don't
quick
care.
fix for doctors nowadays?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, here, medicine, medicine, medicine. And, you know, I, I'm not one, I don't like to take medications. I have to take medications, but I'd prefer not to be taking anything at all. Especially something like that. So it was constantly, I would try the medication for a short period of time and then I call my doctor and be like, I don't like the way I feel on this. All I do is sleep or I just don't care about anything. Like you could come by my house and I probably would have sat there and been like, okay, that's how I felt. I had no care in the world and I just sat there and zoned out. Hated it.
How about sleeping? Because that's another one.
I don't sleep. I know you like to joke that I'm always tired
Yeah.
and I sleep. I really don't get restful sleep is the problem. So I may go into bed at say 9 o'clock at night. I may fall asleep for like 30 minutes or an hour and then I'm up for hours. And then I go to sleep and I'm tossing and turning and I don't get a good night's rest ever.
Is that because you're thinking constantly?
My head's always going, you know, I'm I'm the only one in the home. I always feel like I have to have my ears peeled for anything that happens in the house.
Mm.
Um, you know, I'm always on that heightened alert. Yes.
How do
So
you
I won't get
feel?
sleep.
I'm sorry. How do you feel if you walk into, let's say, a crowded area? Well, a lot of people you don't know.
Um, I don't like it. Um, I'm a people watcher, especially with people I don't know. I like to observe people. So I like to, you know, stand on the outside.
Mhm.
I'm not a very social butterfly, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
I'm polite to people. I'm
Huh.
respectful.
Huh.
But you put me in a room and I'll be cordial. I'll be like, hey, but I will not insert myself. I will sit back and watch people and observe them before I will go in and speak with somebody I don't know. I've
Mhm.
been like that my entire life. Has nothing to do with my anxiety. That's how I've always been.
Okay. Tell me about your last anxiety episode and how'd you handle it?
I actually had one last weekend.
Huh?
I don't think I told you about this,
Oh, there you go.
but Saturday, I don't even know what I was doing, but I started getting that shaky. Oh, my blood sugar dropped. That's when my blood sugar dropped to 50.
Because you're diabetic.
Yeah, I'm diabetic, and I've been having a lot of low blood sugars lately. And my monitor went off at 53, and I panicked. It woke me up. Um, had been waking me up all week long at like 3:30 in the morning with super lows. Had a hard time keeping my sugar up. But on Saturday, so I went through a week of this, and on Saturday it went down to 53, and that's the lowest it had been. And I started panicking. I couldn't get it to come up. Um, so I started focusing. Like
Mhm.
I felt the panic attack coming. Got that hot feeling. My heart started racing. Um, I couldn't get myself to calm down, so I called my mom and had a conversation with her. And, you know, I told her I was, you know, I'm starting to have a panic attack, heart's racing. I told her all the symptoms, and she's like, okay. I said, come on, let's laugh. And I started joking about things. Charlotte, my niece, we started joking about little things that she was doing when I had seen her. And, um, within a couple of minutes, I was feeling relaxed. I just needed, um, I knew I couldn't bring myself down 100% at that point. So I figured, let me call my mom. She's always been the one that's been there throughout all of my panic attacks. I would call her or my dad would answer the phone at any given, it didn't matter what time it was. They would answer the phone if they saw it was me. And they knew something was, I was probably having a panic attack. So just called mom, had a few minutes of conversation with her, joking, laughing, and I was fine after that.
Have you ever had an instance where you had a panic attack and you tried to reach out and nobody was there?
Absolutely.
How'd you handle
hmm On to the next. I moved, I called, so I had a group of people that knew, and it had been like that since day one. Like as soon as I would get in the car, I would try calling mom. If I couldn't get a hold of mom, I would call my sister Stacy. Go through, I would go through every family member. Then I would move on. I had a few friends that I would call. I would call my aunt. Um, Somebody would pick up, my nephew. It was just a matter of which one wasn't busy at the moment or was near their phone, you know. So there was never a time where I didn't get a hold of somebody, but I had to exhaust all of my people one time, one or two times, I'd say, to
it?
get somebody on the phone with me. And if I didn't and they had to call me back, I knew I would instantly, my first reaction was if I didn't get through to somebody, I would pull over and stop my I would pull into a parking lot until one of them would call me back. I can honestly say now thinking about it, there was one time where I did have to pull over and park in a parking lot, maybe 2 minutes until my sister had called me back. She's like, sorry, I was away from my phone. I'm like, that's all right. No one answered. It's not a big deal. I just pulled over.
Let me ask you something. So everything you're thinking about, the car accident, you being a diabetic, you had a heart issue, panic attacks, like cervix cancer, and so everything's running through your brain right now. Okay. Have there ever been a time where it all hits you at once and you're like, what the fuck I'm gonna do? You have a real pain. Like, hey, is that the time when you had to pull over right quick?
No, usually those happened when I was at home.
Okay.
Where everything hit me at once, I was usually at home. Usually, in the evenings. Um, Maybe I didn't have any communication with anybody that day because at this point I was working at home 5 days a week because of COVID. They had moved us home. We were rotating days in the office with work people. So if I had no communication with anybody, sometimes in the evening, things would start running through my head. If I would go for a walk and my heart would race, and I've told you this, I had a hard time going for walks after my heart because I was so worried that my heart was racing. Like I didn't want to do any physical activity that would make my heart race. So, just usually at night sitting by myself, everything would start flooding through my head. Like, how did I get through this? But I have the coping skills now where I have to redirect my brain and my thoughts. I know what to do. I know how to handle the situation now. And I am less scared of these situations now.
Okay.
So
Since you mentioned COVID, did you know since 2020, COVID-19 happened, you got 6.8 million new diagnoses that's been reported with anxiety. 3.1% of the nation. 6.8 million since COVID. What do you think about that?
does not surprise me one little bit.
You're one of them.
I'm absolutely one of them.
Yeah, you're that six in the middle of that 6.8. I don't know what number that is, but your ass is in
I am in there. No, it doesn't surprise me because I feel like COVID has sheltered people into their homes.
there.
Um, I was one of those that I didn't want to go out because I do have health issues. I think the media scared people. Um, I remember it being all over the news that if you're diabetic, you're more susceptible to getting COVID and blah, blah, blah. All these bullshit lines that they gave, right?
Hmm.
Because when I went to my endocrinologist for my diabetes, I asked him about the COVID vaccines, and he's like, yeah, I do suggest you get one, but your sugar's under control. And he broke it down to me. He's like, your sugar's under control. So therefore, you're not in that group of diabetics get it and they get it really bad. He's like, because you have yours under control. He's like, that's more towards the people that their sugar's all over the place. Like, it's not under control. It's not within normal ranges. You know, that's where you were more susceptible to getting COVID or coming down with it if you came in contact with it. I went through, well, I didn't have COVID until last year. Last year was the first year I contacted COVID, and mind you, the first 2 years of COVID, I worked in the office 5 days a week.
Hey,
So
man,
I was the lucky one.
you sure?
Well, I mean, I never caught it. And then again, when I did catch it last year, it was really like, I felt like I had the dang flu.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's happened to me too.
Yeah. So
Nan, did you know that women are more twice as likely than men to experience anxiety?
women are?
Yep,
No, I did not know that.
yep.
I did not do my research.
Since
I don't want to look at it.
2015, women are twice as likely to have anxiety experiences more than men. What do you think
Okay.
about that?
I mean, is it, my feeling on this stuff.
Huh?
Is it really a fair statistic? Because how many men hide their anxiety?
But mental
How
health.
many?
This was reported, so we don't know. This was reported.
Exactly. Because I feel like men are programmed into not talking about stuff, not allowed to talk about stuff, because God forbid, we appear weak, vulnerable. So I don't know if I really agree with that.
Hmm? I
I
figure you
don't think
wouldn't.
I do at all.
I figure you wouldn't, but that's fine.
Mm-mm.
I do, but I mean,
I don't
as
know because I
always.
feel like men have just as many stressors as women. They're just different stressors.
Yes, yes.
Women
I,
tend to wear their hearts on their sleeve, right?
yeah.
They have no problem showing emotion, showing anything. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Well, they
agree with that.
say anxiety is a part of mental health, and it's a mental health illness. And you said earlier that you have 1,000 things going on in your brain, right?
Hmm.
So is it the same? Maybe, maybe not. But as you know, like you said, men do not report anything. But since women are having more anxiety issues according to them with all everything going to the brain, it might make sense. But you're right, men do not talk about it. They do not say anything. That leads me to this right here. Anxiety is the most common mental illness in the United States. Over 40 million Americans. That's 19.1% of this country. 40 million Americans, right? Some type of
Hmm.
anxiety. 40 million.
Right.
Over 50% of Americans, right? You're gonna love this one. This had me baffled right here. I'm gonna ask your opinion about this one. Over the 50% of Americans 18 to 24, all right, has been reported of having anxiety issues. This is since 2015. This is the young ones, 18 to 24, over
Sad.
50%.
It's sad. It's very sad because um, my generation, I don't think the number would have even been close to 50%, right? I don't
Facts.
know, unless I was oblivious to it, but I really think um, that's a sad number for such a young age group. Because why is that young age group? No, that's messed up. I don't
18
like
to
that.
24. Think about it. I mean, it's a different time nowadays. I mean,
Absolutely.
I guess they're stressed out and they have a lot of responsibilities on them. I don't know. I felt in my generation, our generation, we have way more responsibilities out there, but that's just me. Maybe, but this is reported. And check this out, and you're gonna love this one. Out of the 18 and 24, what you said earlier, you feel men should be that way? Guess who got the higher number? Young men from 18 to 24.
Wow.
69%
Wow.
men from 18 to 24.
Wow.
So what's the difference between the younger generation coming out with it and the older generation? In your opinion, what do you think that difference is? They're more in tune with their
Well,
minds. What?
I think our generation, men are taught to suck it up. You've said this before, suck it up, man up.
Don't be a pussy. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Um, I feel like the new generation is a whole lot softer, uh, more sensitive, more in tune to speaking up. Um, some people you'll hear out on, on TikTok and all these social media platforms where they'll be like, "Oh, you're a pussy" or whatever. You're way too soft. I don't necessarily, I mean, if you're going with your emotion, you're going with how you feel, I don't really think that is a good way to characterize these people because I feel like men and women have emotions. You should be able to show them. Um, but yeah, I think our generation was more, suck it up, buttercup, like get your ass back out there and do it. I don't care what you think. And this generation is definitely a whole lot different. So,
Woo! Well, man, this is not just an American issue. This is a world issue. We got
oh, absolutely.
301 million. 301 million. Okay? This is since COVID around the world. Has some type of anxiety issues. I gave you definitions earlier. You know what I mean? So, I mean, think about that. Like, this is around the world. You've been through it. I mean, you're one of the 6 million since COVID. What do you think, in your opinion, that could be done about this? I mean, do you think like these doctors just want to shove drugs down your damn throat or whatever? Should they talk to more people? Should they be around more people? What do you think it is?
I don't know. I feel like, um, we were told to, since COVID, we were told to, stay in the home, don't go out, don't this, don't that, you know, you're gonna die, whatever. Um, how do you Plus, we have all the electronics, right? Like everybody's got their face in some type of electronic. They don't communicate.
Yeah.
People don't know how to communicate, have a conversation. God forbid we go out to dinner and we not have our phone in our face, right? So it's that instant gratification thing. I think because we are so focused on that and we don't communicate with people, I feel like anxiety is a little bit higher with that kind of stuff, you know?
Yes.
You get nervous about having to go into the office now because you're so used to working from home. You don't like going to the grocery store because you're around a lot of people. Um, you know, those type of things. You go to a restaurant and you can't sit and have a conversation with somebody at the table with you because you don't have the social skills, or you want to sit and text with the person across the table from you.
Mhm.
I feel like people don't want to be around people anymore,
Oh God.
you know? So that, I mean, it does help me to be around people, you know that.
Hmm.
Um, I have a hard problem telling people no when they ask me to do something. Because it just gets me around a person, right?
Yeah.
So used to being at home and working by myself and really only having communication over a phone.
Yeah.
Um, I think sheltering in and keeping yourself away from people, I think that has brought out anxiety in people. I'll never, you can disagree until you're blue in the face with me about that one, because I will say you need to have social communication with people face to face, not, you know,
Hmm.
via text. I don't have a problem texting. I prefer to talk. That's my generation. There's a lot of people that'll tell you I prefer to text. Um, but I think that has a lot to do with it, is not having that communication with people, face to face communication. And I mean,
Well,
there's a whole boatload of other reasons why you have anxiety and stuff like that. But, I'm just talking my case right now. Being social with people does help me get past. So I think people need to talk to people. If you're feeling down, depressed, um, you're not sure what's going on in your body, go speak to somebody. Like, I didn't know what anxiety was, had no clue. Had it not been for a massive panic attack, I probably would have never went out and got help. I had to be pushed to talk to a counselor. Guess what? I did it for 6, 8 months, 3 days a week for an hour. I'm not on any medication. I know how to handle my situation. I know when it's coming on. I've had that one episode last Saturday. That's the first time in probably 7, 8 months.
it's not bad.
So, I
Hey,
mean, I think I'm doing pretty well, but I had to be pushed. Had to be pushed to go talk to that person. You think, oh my God, you're crazy if you have to talk to a, counselor or a psychiatrist or whatever. No, you're not. Speak to somebody.
okay, Nan. Well, we're going to wrap this up right here. And you already said a message already, but I'm going to give you one more. I want you to elaborate that on your last message. So, I like to do my little question game because, like, you like to play along with this shit. So we're going to put you on the spot and we're
Thanks.
going to do you.
Oh God.
We're going to do you. Okay? I'm
No
going to mix it
timer,
up a little
right?
bit. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Okay? First and foremost, I already know one question you won't know because you don't like music. But
It's not that I don't like music. I do like music.
I just can't remember what it is.
I don't know names or artists anymore. Okay? If I just like it, I like it. I don't care who sings it and what it's called.
Okay, so let's start off with the first one. Okay, What is one word that describes yourself?
One word that describes myself. Man, why you gotta do this to me? Oh God. Neat freak.
That's kind of two words. I said one word. That's
Well,
two.
okay, whatever. It's 2 words. That's what you're gonna get.
You a poor guest. Well, I'll tell you right
Wait,
now.
wait. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, she said, not me. Biggest risk you've ever taken,
Zip lining.
which thank goodness to me, I had to talk you into it.
That's right. I would have never done it if I didn't want to prove your ass wrong that I'd do it.
Exactly. Something you thought was true, but it wasn't.
Something I thought was true but wasn't. I have no clue. That's a good one.
Mm. Mm.
I
Okay.
gotta think about that.
All right. I'll give you another one. This should be good.
Oh God.
this should be a good one. If you could learn one skill instantly, what would it be?
One skill. Why you got tough ones for me, sir?
Hey, it is what it is.
One skill.
Hmm?
Something to do with, there's a few things.
Not being an asshole would be one of them.
I mean, that would be great, but that's never gonna happen
Yeah,
because you're probably always gonna call me
yeah.
one. I'd probably want to learn some type of like, I don't know why this comes to my mind, but like some type of woodworking,
Okay. I don't know why, but
like
okay.
building stuff and
So you want to build like a log cabin, shit like that?
no, not like a log cabin, but like furniture. Like
Oh, I got you. Oh, okay.
I like to redo and repurpose furniture. I've done
Yeah.
that before.
That's something new.
Um,
Wow.
I did
Okay.
it when I moved to this house. I've redone dressers. I built my desk here for work.
Wow.
Is it 100% the way it should be built? No. I would like to learn how to fine tune something like that.
Wow. That's something
I
I
don't think you knew
never.
I built my desk.
No, that's fucking crazy. That, you know what I mean? That's just all right. Let's give you one more here for the road here. Let's see. What should I give her? I got a whole bunch of them. I want to give her something good.
Make it
Something
easy.
good.
Make it easy.
Oh God, this is so simple. Here we go. And you've heard this before, but I want to hear from you. If you can ask your future self one question, what question would that be? One question. You can go to Nan in the future. What? How long? Let's say like 5 year Nan. You go and ask 5 year Nan with like 10,000 cats. Uh, like Nan me. Like what is? Tell me one thing. One question. What question would you ask her?
Hmm. Um, in 5 years.
Hey, 5 years. Would you ask that Nan?
um, wow, that's a good one. I have heard of that one, and I've never even thought about answering it for myself.
Yep.
Probably. Oh, something to do with, I'm bad at answering these questions.
Yeah, right, you are.
Um, you're such an ass. Probably something to do with my job. I don't know. I don't know. Like, will I still be, why did you stay at the job? I don't know. Because
Yeah, I
I
give.
will probably be there because I've been with the company 25 years.
Yeah, yeah. You probably like, well, I'll be this, well, I'll be a president, vice president. Right, what
Will
I.
I move to another state? Will I sell my
You
home?
ain't going no fucking where.
Will I,
Anyway.
jump off a bridge? I don't know.
And knowing you probably will. Anyway, Nan, anxiety. Everything you've been through from the car accident, from your heart, having a panic attack that actually kind of basically saved you in a way, helped you out big time. If someone out there is somewhat similar close to you, because you never know. Everybody has a story, everybody has a journey, whatever. Some people like it, some people don't, but one person always like gravitates to it. If someone who's going through similar what you went through, what advice would you give them? How to handle everything, anxiety, everything you went through. Let's say they went through some similars to you. Like, how would you
So,
guide them through?
so my advice would be to seek help, speak to somebody, um, find your person that you can, that will listen, not necessarily pass judgment, not necessarily even speak. Um, have your person that listens, that isn't there to respond. They're there to just listen. Mine happened to be going to a counselor um, for a short period of time. Started off with my parents, my family, um, but then I knew I needed more help than that. Somebody that could give me coping skills, give me techniques to distract myself from my triggers, find out what your triggers are. Don't necessarily medicate. I don't really believe in the medicating process. You have to do it, you have to do it. But definitely find your soundboard to who you can speak to and get the help that you need. Definitely. Don't be afraid. I know I had that mentality that if I spoke to somebody um that I might be crazy, I happened to reach out to the EAP program at work. My work doesn't know that I started seeing a therapist. I got 12 free sessions. That's how it started. They set me out with a counselor in my area. My work had no clue. Never ran through my insurance, never nothing. Um, definitely take the time to look up your resources, um, and get the help you need. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody.
Well, Nanette, I appreciate your time, your effort, your answerableness to come out here and share this journey with us. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you right now, it's something that her and I we always go at each other. I call her an asshole. She calls me all type of fucking names or whatever it is. But yeah, but I thought it was very
Smart
important.
ass, maybe. I call
Yeah,
you a smart ass all the time.
you call me a dick too. Yeah, but there you go. Yes, you did.
I
Anyway.
have a few times. You're right.
Yeah, there you go. But it's something that anxiety is one of the bigger issues out there. And she gave a couple of examples. I appreciate your time coming on. I know you have a busy night ahead of you because you're about to hit the road, about to go do your little nan duties or whatever the hell you do.
Go
Thank
visit
you
the
for
parental units.
yeah, there you go. Nan, thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast here, this episode here. I will see you next week on Let's Talk About It. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the show. Please like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned next week for another exciting episode on Let's Talk About It.